Hey, what's up? It's Dee here. I'm back. I have taken a bit of a break and I am just bringing you part 3 on my series about insulin resistance. Today I'm going to talk about the question, can HIIT training help you if you have prediabetes or diabetes? Let's jump right in. I found a study that is the first meta-study that has been done on whether or not HIIT training has a positive impact on those who have prediabetes, diabetes, or what the article refers to as metabolic syndrome. So you might have heard metabolic syndrome used when discussing the same symptomology and the same issue of pre-diabetic insulin resistance and or type 2 diabetes. So if I use those words interchangeably, I just wanted you to be aware. This meta-study looked at 10 different studies in which people with insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, some were given a HIIT training regimen and others were not. And of course the studies were researched to make sure that they were all valid and reliable. So the 10 that they chose were pretty solid studies. I have shared with you some other videos about HIIT training where I talked about this helping clients. I just want to share a brief story about a client who recently sent me her doctor report after working with me for 3.5 months, and then her A1C was normal. Her doctor took her off of all medications having to do with her diabetes condition, and she was so thrilled. And so I just encourage you to look into these 3 pillars, as I refer to them, of the ketogenic diet, fasting, and HIIT training as the way to go if you want to reverse insulin resistance. Even though global awareness has been increased about the level of physical inactivity, it was as high as 27.5% of the world population is inactive, and that was back in 2016. So you can imagine, given that we have all been through this pandemic and many people don't commute to work anymore and many people have multiple screens in front of them all day, so this limits physical movement. If you pair that with the data I shared in my first video on this series, you would know that more than 40% of people in the US between the ages of 18 and 40 have insulin resistance. That is a huge number, and we know that insulin resistance left unchecked can become type 2 diabetes. We also know that physical inactivity can lead to a lot of chronic illnesses. Insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes. It's defined as a cluster of cardiovascular risk factors that include elevated blood glucose, low HDL cholesterol, high density lipoprotein, high triglycerides, high blood pressure, and increased waist circumference. So that's the cluster. If you have at least 3 of those things, then if unchecked can lead to these type 2 diabetes or other cardiovascular disease. This is because metabolic syndrome is left largely untreated, right? And it's not, sometimes doctors don't even test for it or mention it, even if they do test for it and there is an insulin resistance issue. So it's estimated that the prevalence of the metabolic syndrome in the US is 35% of the overall population, and that figure rises to over 50% for adults over age 60. This data makes metabolic syndrome a very strong predictor of cardiovascular, but all mortality as well. So let's go back to HIIT training. There's certainly no shortage of hype over HIIT training and its ability to burn fat and help people lose weight. And that's one of the things that I've been saying for years. And I've worked with many clients who have found this style of training to really work well for them because, first of all, it's a shorter period of time than most gym-based workouts, cardiovascular workouts, running. All of those things take a lot more time, and they also have a different effect on the body. It isn't to say that they aren't good for you, but they generally benefit cardiovascular health more than they benefit metabolic health. The variables that were looked at in the study were fasting blood glucose, HDL cholesterol, triglycerides, blood pressure, and waist circumference. And of course, those were compared to a control group. The HIIT group showed significant and relevant reductions in blood glucose levels, both systolic and diastolic blood pressure, and waist circumference. If we have a non-pharmacological, non-invasive, first-line, low-cost treatment to reduce metabolic syndrome in people of any age, then let's get on it. Okay, so I am going to share with you a simple formula for starting out with HIIT training. In the comments below, you can use a simple free timer on your phone and set it for intervals. I would start with 30 seconds first, 30 seconds on, and 30 seconds off. And most people find that they have heard that this is like PX90, this is like boot camp. No, it is not. You can literally start with 5 minutes of this, and you can even take 5-minute intervals of it if you're working all day and sitting for a long time. Stop in the middle of your day and do 4 rounds, 10 rounds, and you will restart fat burning in your body. So it's just an amazing, amazing tool, and you can do it at all levels. You do not have to be a person who jumps, but if you have any issues like that, I work with women 50s and 60s and 70s that are not as mobile, and you can still, using your arms and legs, have movements that are going to increase your fat burning. So if you haven't tried it, it is a great anti-diabetes, anti-metabolic syndrome workout that you can do at home. Please check out my other videos on why you should do HIIT training. Also, I have a follow-along video that is about 26 minutes long that includes me demonstrating how to do HIIT training with the moves. The timer is set, and so you can check that out, or check the description box below for a simple 5-minute HIIT that you can do. And of course, if you find that that's doable for you, you could just double it up and make it a 10 or 15-minute HIIT session for yourself. The best part is you can just do it barefoot, you can do it in your bedroom, you can do it on your carpet, you can just throw out a mat on the floor. If you need a little more cushioning, I've got a nice thick mat. I can put a link in the description box for you. I do prefer to use a thicker mat. So there are things you can do, and you can make it really simple on yourself. So I encourage you to give it a try. And if you do and you like it, or you see results, or you have questions, please go ahead and come back and comment so we can get the conversation going. If you've made it to the end, please comment by putting 2 thumbs up emojis in the comments below, and like this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I am a relatively new channel, and I'm trying to make more videos that are on topics that would be helpful to you to really change your lifestyle for the long term. If you know anyone who could benefit from this video, please share it. I will see you on the next one.